So, hi, I'm Sister Amelia Breton. I work here at St. Michael Indian School. This is my third year here. Here in St. Michael Indian School, we continue the legacy of Mother Katharine Drexel of social justice. And as we know, education is a very important part of social justice. And here we try to, as a Catholic school, our students are learning those values, those Catholic values that teaches them to not only the basics of education, but also the issues of social justice and be aware of what's going on in the world and in other cultures. So when they go out into the world, they are when they leave St. Michael's, they are ready to embrace what society brings to them. So our students, for example, learn. Last year I taught a class on theology, and they learn about awareness of the poverty around the world and in other places in the world and the needs. They learn, they become more aware not only of their own needs here in the reservation, but also to be more, to extend, their heart and their concern to other people and other races. Also, all our teachers and our staff, maybe they might not be aware when they come to work here about our mission, but they will certainly learn as they work in the day-to-day and become aware that this is more than just a job, that it has a very spiritual purpose. As I said, it is a mission here in the school, and the staff is living that mission in whatever work that they do, whether they are teaching or our principal, what she does, our president, and the people in maintenance and keeping our buildings safe and going. They might not be aware of the mission when they start working here, when they come, but they do become aware as on the day-to-day, and as they live their day-to-day here in service. That is more than just, it becomes just part of you, because it is a ministry. It has that spiritual dimension to it, to whatever it is that they do. And sometimes when our meetings, I remind them that whatever we do here is for our kids. It is for our students, and therefore for the reservation. And as Catholics, that is our mission, our people.
I want to touch upon the St. Katharine Drexel Miracle Fair. It's an annual event we have here at St. Michael Indian School, and it's an event for all our students to participate in. So they research a saint, and they not only just, talk about the saint and their life, but they also make a deeper connection of the things that they've learned researching them and how that connects to them as a student or even as a person. So it's been a yearly event, and it's something that our students and teachers look forward to. This year we had it virtually just because of the circumstances. But what touches me is with this Miracles Fair and the presentations that I was able to attend this school year is the connection that one of the students had made. I don't recall the saint's name, however, the student had made a connection with the saint's early life, and them as a student, they are in their early stages of life, made that connection and had an impact on them. And so not only is that connection significant that we see with the student, but with talking about social justice, historically, you know, saints have gone through so many things, and you know, and experienced so many things. And a lot of what I see with them is that they did stand up, or you know, they did speak out for issues that they see as important. And so, with that being said, you know, making that connection with the students, it would, you know, it makes such more of an impact that the students research their life and look at how they became a saint with their miracles and what they stood for, and how that can impact the students here to look at, well, what can I do to also, you know, be like this saint, to make those changes.
In January of 2020, our family was approached by St. Michael Indian School to participate in a trip. And the trip was to Washington, D.C., to participate in the March of Life with another human rights Native American group called Life is Sacred. Of course, we jumped at it and we said yes. We were beyond excited to be able to have this experience, not only as a family, but especially for our children. As a family, we teach our children to make sure that they are registered to vote, that they know that voting is so important, not only locally, like here on the reservation within our chapter, but also statewide in Arizona, and then nationally with the President of the United States. Having a vote is a way to have a voice, and we've always promoted that with our family. Our children know of the experiences that their grandparents had, marching and advocating for various things, not only here in our community, but nationally as well. And so this is just an extension of what we value as a family, and St. Michael Indian School has supported those values. And it's been really incredible to see this education that they provide in this area of the pro-life movement, to beyond the classroom. This trip marked taking education outside of the four walls of a classroom and really applying it and giving these students an experience to see this at a greater scale. By that I mean, you know, whatever they learn in theology or maybe even government was able to be exposed to them in this in-person live event. Our students, along with other students on the trip, were exposed to, you know, what they could do if they decided to pursue careers in political science or civil service, public service, and maybe even lawmaking or becoming an attorney, and knowing how to navigate those legal avenues. And so having this exposure to the students really opens their eyes. In speaking with a couple of parents after the event and throughout the event, it was just really amazing to be there all together, alongside, you know, our school families, our teachers, and even the principal, to defend human life and to speak up for human life. And we are grateful that the school made this trip possible, and that hopefully planted the seed in many of these students to continue advocacy work in their adult life.
Yeah, hey, my name is Jan Michael Patterson. I've been a teacher here for about 4.5 years at St. Michael Indian School, and here I've been able to teach social studies, mostly from 8th grade to the senior class levels. And some of the things that we talk about in class are interspersed with current events. Recently, in my U.S. government class, we're talking about the Constitution. And as part of the Constitution discussion, we are also really focusing on the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is something that I feel that's really strongly important to learn for these students, because I really feel that they need to understand their rights, and as having their own rights, they have responsibilities to go with it. When asked about one of the most important rights that they have as individuals, one of my students had responded with freedom of speech. And that immediately took us to the lesson in the First Amendment: the freedom of speech, the freedom of the press, freedom of the religion, freedom to assemble peaceably and redress grievances to the government. Now, with the current events that's going on in the world, in the United States today, most importantly, we recently had a police shooting, where a young man, a black man, was shot and was pronounced dead later on. But the officer had made a mistake of shooting the individual when she thought she had a taser. It was actually her pistol, and that sparked almost a nationwide protesting in different places. Now, the question I ask my students is, what is appropriate about protesting? What can you do, and what should you learn about protesting? How should people protest? And the response was they need to speak out and talk about what their rights are and what's wrong with the world. And I said, yeah, that's understandable. But with these rights, you have responsibilities, and there's certain ways you need to carry out certain procedures. And I asked my students in particular, if what they've seen on the news recently is the appropriate way. And their response is no. I say, exactly, because as individuals, we do have the freedom to speak. We do have the freedom to protest. But at the same time, we also have responsibilities, and that's the kind of thing I'm trying to get my students to understand. And I've done this for the past three years, trying to intertwine a lot of current events that relate to our rights, to the government, and so that way they understand where they are in the world today, where they need to be, and where they can make changes that they need to. The whole point of this is to inspire them, but also to educate them about what's important to them and what they need to realize, that as individuals, they do have a voice, and there's a right way or a procedural way to get your voice heard, through voting, through protesting. And protesting, there's protesting where people march from one location to the next, trying to share and raise awareness about a certain issue without violence. Protesting should not be met with violence. It should be met with the idea of raising awareness and an issue to a community. And that's what I want my students to understand, that it's okay to voice your opinion. It's okay to speak from your heart and speak from your mind, but to do it in a manner that brings the word itself out, respect. I think if we respect ourselves as individuals, and we respect each other as individuals as well, doesn't matter what color we are, doesn't matter what race we are, doesn't matter what language we are, as long as we see each other as human beings, I think that's the most important thing. And that's what I want my students to understand, that we should see each other as human beings. The concept of human beings is, for us indigenous peoples, it goes far back. In Navajo, we call ourselves Dene. In some cases, Dene Lashla, the five-fingered peoples. In other nations, they have different terms for their own members of their own tribes. And not one of them depicts color. Not one of them depicts anything derogatory or negative. It's just a term that they use to identify themselves. Asian Americans, Asian people, that's a group of people. Black people, African American people, Latino, Hispanic. We have all different races. We have Muslims. We have Middle Eastern Indians. I don't think it's right to categorize us by those different things. And I want my students to be able to respect themselves, respect others, and respect other people's rights as well. Because like our natural rights, we have the right to breathe, eat, sleep, And by law, we have the right to protest, we had the right to speak, we had the right to, you know, share our opinions. And I think, and with that, you know, it comes with a greater responsibility. You know, it's kind of like how they, in the Marvel universe, as an example, Spider-Man, he has these gifts that was given to him by the bite of a spider. His own uncle had said, with great gifts come great responsibilities. It's the same thing, it's the same kind of concept. And I think that with these rights that we have as citizens of the United States, we have rights, but we should respect those rights and those people that have created these laws for us, and in turn do things the right way, without violence, without protest. My students had said it themselves. They didn't believe that burning buildings down and looting buildings and stealing and destroying people's property is the right way to protest. And then they do understand people are angry. They do understand people are angry. They understand that part because they've seen the footages themselves. They understand the situation at hand, and they understand that there is a greater issue. I think that if we united on a major scale to protest without having violence, it would make a lot more of a difference. Instead of we're kind of being counterproductive in a way. We want to raise awarenesses, but we're going to destroy buildings. That's not the concept that I want to teach my students. I want them to learn, because having that lesson to go across for them to take home with them and to use down the road, then, you know, that's all that matters to me. Because the point of my job here, I believe, is to inspire them.